Today we're working on Ol Reliable, and we're removing the front bumper. So I built this bumper probably almost 3 or so years ago now, and I really like it. Besides looks, I mean, it doesn't really complement the classic truck, but this is my work truck, and it does pretty much everything I ever want it to. And the spike actually helps me drive, believe it or not. It lets me kind of see where I'm at, because of the height, it's kind of hard to see cars, or when you're parking the space and stuff. And it actually lets me kind of gauge myself. But I realized I've had this truck forever, and I thought I was going to be more the focal point on the channel, and I haven't made a video with it yet. And there's a lot of stuff done to it. But for today, we're going to be removing this bumper. I'm going to be painting the factory style bumper, because I don't want to make one yet, but the winch died, so I don't really see a reason to have this thing up here anymore for now. I also been running it for a long time. I want to change up the look a little bit, but so here we are. The Trailmaster Nomad is a very cheap winch. I think it's like 250 bucks for a 12K. I don't think it actually will do 12K, but it's done what I want it to. The factory cable sucked. The way it got put in there sucked, and this is just a Badlands like Harbor Freight synthetic rope. I absolutely love the rope since I've had it, but I was pulling my Fummins up onto a trailer with it, and what I actually do is I have a receiver there, and I just throw my big drop winch in there, hook it up to my trailer, and I'll pull anything that doesn't run up on the trailer with it, and it does. This thing's a complete workhorse. It does really good, but the other day it was struggling to pull the 08 up there, and the winch was smoking. And now when I try to click the winch in, all the motor does is click. So I think it's fried, and I'm figuring if the winch doesn't work, there's no reason to have this thing up here anymore. I want to change the style. So coming over to one of the factory styles, I have two of these. They're both in equally as fine shape, I guess. This one's obviously just been sitting around forever because it's super dusty, but it's upside down too. I don't know if anybody would catch that, but this is one that's going to go on it, and it's going to get painted black because we took the trim off of it, and if I had probably the chrome trim still on it, I might just keep it chrome for now. But it's kind of, I don't love the chrome, and I figured I might as well. And then I think after I put the bumper on, I'm going to do a quick little walk around of what I had going on here, because it is completely different than anyone that you would see on your Facebook Marketplace or is around town stock. So while I'm taking the bumper off, I'm also going to repaint, because this grill is supposed to be temporary. That's why there's only like 2 bolts inside, and it's missing half the bolts up top to hold it in. This wasn't supposed to be there permanently, but here we are, like 4 years later since I did that. So that's going to come off with the bumper, so that can get repainted. This grill will probably get repainted, and then this chrome bumper will be painted black to match for the most part, the rest of the truck. Yeah, it didn't really do nothing. So as you saw, I tried sanding the bumper, and that didn't go well at all. The grill is now off because that's going to get sanded. But now that I have a sandblaster, it sucks that it's raining out because it's just shitty outside. But I'm going to try sandblasting it. It's kind of it's real slow. You can definitely say the old chrome is a lot stronger and a lot better than the newer chrome stuff they put on, because that shit is tough. And even with the sandblaster full fucking crank, she is not wanting to come off. But it'll be fine. If I can just get a nice like dusting over all of it so it's a little more scuffed up, because that sandpaper, even though it was 60 grit, wasn't doing a damn thing. So I'm hoping the sand will scuff it up a little, just enough so I can paint it and then call it a day. The bumper will likely be temporary, even though I said this is temporary too, and it's been there for a long time. But I want to build another bumper, something that looks more like a classic, or maybe eventually I'll get a new winch and maybe I'll revamp this setup, because I really like this truck and I really like the setup. It did anything I wanted it to all the time. I did a lot of work with this thing. So along with pretty much everything else on the truck, everything is for the most part handmade. This is a bracket I made just to hold the power box, and it goes up behind the grill. And what I'm gonna have to do when I take the bumper off, it's either pop this cover and undo all of the leads, but I think what I'm gonna do instead is just pop the power off here and then just take the whole bracket and power box off. I was thinking of leaving the power box just in case I decide to put the winch back on, but I think it's fried, so I'm just gonna pop the whole thing off and save maybe, I don't know, I'll save the bracket maybe, so if I get another winch I can just use the same bracket. But for now, she's gonna come off. And I kind of built this whole truck to use factory points because I didn't want to make stuff too involved. And luckily this is a 1/2 inch nut, but I have a 13 wrench. Well, it's a hair big, but it's not big enough where it's gonna hurt anything. So just gonna unwind these real quick and take this power box off. And now that I have this bracket off, it's funny, I only painted one side, and living right by the water, I mean, it's just surface, but like this whole thing is just rusted. And it's just funny how quick things go to shit up here. And I never drove this truck in the winter. It was always parked for the whole winter, all winter long, until they at least started trying to clean up the roads. For this reason, I did not want to get this truck rusted out because the frame's still good. I painted the frame. I painted it for 2 years consecutively. That lead runs under. Pull this positive through, and I'll yank the negative through. But I purposely did not drive this so I didn't rust it out. But I live right across from the water. This truck's always next to the water, whether it's in it or not. And I mean, the salty air really just gets the stuff. Just something to think about when you're treating your vehicle, or if you're building something, especially restoring something, you want to keep it nice. That's this lead. Oh, this does the controller actually. So this has to come through. I can cut one of these zip ties, and this will run through. I'll be back. So I've gone ahead and pulled my controller through, and for being a cheap Chinese kind of winch total, this controller worked really good. Had a magnet on it. It was a pretty long lead. Everything worked out pretty good. Oh no, it was a decent winch. I had it pulling a little too much for it to handle. But now, while I'm waiting a little more, figure try out that old Chemical Guys on these wheels too. Now, for the most part, they're pretty good. The front ones have a lot of brake dust. There used to be a lot more. I did try to wash them off a little bit when I put the new rubber on there. But we'll see how these come out. Back ones are all pretty good. But all in all, these are nice wheels. There's some silicone. Some of it's been scraped off. This one's got a lot of silicone in like the middle area. See all that shit, but all in all, well, they're pretty nice wheels, so hoping they come out a little nicer than the Jeep ones did. Those ones had a lot more rash on it, I guess you can say. But here we are. I'll get a little before and after. These are the driver's sides. Come over to the passenger side. This one's in pretty good shape. And this one is probably the worst of them. Where there's this is one of the front ones, you can tell, because there's a lot of brake dust, and I don't even know if the rear brakes work on this thing, so the dust definitely ain't coming from that. There's a lot of silicone down on these, on the edge here, but we'll see. We'll see how this one goes. That one's definitely the dirtiest of the bunch. Now, my next task is going to be the LEDs. I was gonna call them fog lights, but they're not a fog pattern. They're a spot pattern. So me in the back of the day, I just wanted the brightest ones. I thought spot was brighter than fog, but I should have gotten fog lights. That's because of the pattern. But they're tied together, and it looks like it's fine over there. Did I run that through the frame? Man, what a dick. And I'm gonna need to cut this off. Fortunately, I think it's gonna be a pain in the ass. So I might just cut it off up there and just tape it so it doesn't fuck with anything. Because I don't really want to undo it from all the plugs and stuff and whatnot. That way it's all run, so if I ever want to put lights in the stock bumper or whatever, all I have to do is run a little lead from there. I think that's the smartest idea I've had all day. So I'm going to cut this real quick. And I did run that through the frame. What a prick, huh? And I'm going to cut all this off and whatever, call it a day. Yeah, because the way I ran the light was from the spot. I hooked those two together, and then it ran up to here, runs to the switch, and then the power runs from the switch over to the battery. And so that means this just goes to the switch, so I'm going to leave that and tie it off. But I had a whole elaborate scheme, I think last year, to redo all the accessory wiring, because I got this really nice electrical board. It has built-in relays. All you do is run the wires to it. That way, and then I also bought some of that like wire, like the plastic tubing that goes over it. So I can neaten up this whole truck. It looks like hell, but I still haven't done it. I've been preoccupied. So at some point I will do that because I really want this thing to be nice. But as I say that, all I do is whoop it. So here we are. Now I think the next step is to just undo the bumper. Now I made this plate so it integrated just into the frame holes here. So it's 1, 2, 3. However, the third one down on the bottom is also the leaf spring bolt. So I have removed all 3 from both sides. However, what I'm going to do is put my jack up to the spring, lift it just a hair so this bolt's free, slide that bolt out, I'm going to see if I can wiggle the bumper out enough so I can throw the nut back on and the bolt back on so that the spring doesn't run away. And we'll see how that goes. So for the third time today, I kind of outsmarted myself. I forgot these plates are only on one side of the frame. So when I'm doing the spring mount, all I had to do is poke the bolt through enough so it wouldn't fall out. So this one I poked quite a bit further than I had to. And that wasn't necessary, this wasn't necessary, because everything's still here. Ooh. For the most part, from the backside. Then these top bolts need to go back through, assuming they didn't break. One of them broke, so, but you know, 3 is basically 4. It's actually a 5th one right here, so 4 is basically 5. Not too worried about it. This side's all intact. I ripped the bumper off once, or almost ripped it off, so it broke these. That one's not even tight. But, so I got one, and then I just need to I'll just throw a smaller bolt through there, or I'll throw a nut on this side so it only pokes through enough where it does what it needs to. Yeah, I accidentally hurt myself by putting this through. See if hoping it'll come back down, but I did, trying to lift it to make sure that didn't fall. I bent the bracket up this way, so it's a little too tall. Now I need to try to get it back. However, if you have a little spud wrench like this, stick spike through, try to get it through both holes. Might take some persuasion, but if you get it through both holes, you can kind of do one of these and try to lean her back. Now, this one seems to have a lot of weight against it, so what I'm going to do is probably hold it while I tighten the other bolts up, see if I can get it to stay with enough friction force, that I can get a bolt through there. So paint of choice today is this Krylon. It's kind of throw up. Krylon's good, Rust-Oleum's good. You kind of use whatever you want, but I'll have this bumper off. I figure I'm going to touch this up a little bit. And same thing, we just touched up the grill and the shell with, and then got to paint the bumper with it. So kind of goes with it. But Krylon goes on pretty good. The only thing I don't like of the Krylon so far is their bed liner. It just comes out really blotchy. I can't really ever get a consistent spray after the first one, because I think it globs up the tip a little bit, and it just doesn't want to. It doesn't ever spray the same after it gets a little bit on the tip of it. But spider ruined his home. Spray in here for some preventative maintenance. Right there, that one looks pretty good. The shackle. And then the good thing about using kind of this black paint that you can buy at the store, if you ever have any chips or flakes, you don't have to try to seek out a special paint code, especially for stuff like this, because it's just basically equivalent of some people's farm gear. You just don't really care, you just want it to work. That's all you need. And that's all I really need out of this thing, because this is not the show truck that it probably could be if I cared more. But yep, this is so far. That makes it clean up better. And then the old lady's spraying the bumper over there, so we'll get that on pretty shortly. I will. This whole thing kind of needs a paint job too, so I'm not really worried about just spraying everything. As long as I don't spray the light, that's all I really care about. But ooh, blacked out side markers. That looks pretty good. Now we'll get this bumper on here pretty shortly and get a new look for you guys. You need some too. So this is going to be the final product for today. Got more of the stock look going. Everything painted black. The old bumper is just going to hang out here for a little bit. But I want to give a little look around. See how these wheels cleaned up. And they did a really good job. I need to find a brush that I can kind of scrape the silicone off with that isn't going to damage the wheel too bad. But this wheel, absolutely gorgeous compared to what it used to be. This is the one that had a lot of that brake dust on it. Not that brake dust is super hard to get off, but they cleaned up really nicely. I like how the truck goes. The only thing that's off is kind of the red seating with kind of the blue and black. Eventually it'll get different wheels, but local guy had tires for sale, so I figured I'll just keep her on there for now. So that's what all these wheels look like cleaned up. Once again, the chemical guys did a pretty good job. But I think that's going to be it for today's upload. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a good day.